Now, we've got a list of things to talk about, which fortunately I'm not the keeper of the list, but suffice it to say there is a list, and at the top of the list today is a topic that you may not have been thinking about lately, but 41 years ago this season, the Fish, also known as the Dolphins of Miami, had the only, well, in the Super Bowl era, they had the only undefeated season
the 72
in pro football history, the 1972 Miami Dolphins, coached by Don Shula. And we're going to begin there, aren't we,
Great coach. Yeah. You know, I spend a lot of time on eBay, and you know this because you have to put up with me. I mean, you get the pleasure of being around me and hearing me. But I buy a lot of my jerseys off eBay, and I'm not plugging eBay. I'm plugging savings. You know, duh, right? Because if you're looking for authentic jerseys, there's some certain things you have to look for. But I do have a jersey collection that I enjoy and that I'm proud of. And one of the things that's great about it is I spent some time working in a jersey store locally here, and I'm not in Jersey anymore. But
we're from the Bronx, but it's close to Jersey.
It is, you know, and people out west, I mean, they think that you can't get on a horse and ride one day without the horse being famished. You got to stop for water. No, folks, we're very close knit. Yes, we could be rude at times, but logistically, we're very close together. A couple hours, you could be in Washington D.C., or in a couple hours, you could be in Boston.
Or in a couple hours, you could still be stuck in the same traffic jam on the turnpike and on the cell phone to your friend, and then 3 minutes later, you get pulled over by the state troopers because it's illegal to talk on the phone while you're yakking. But fortunately, the state trooper knows just how bad the traffic is, and he will probably cut you some slack as long as you're reasonably polite and you tell him, you know, something that will make his day. Like, for example, you could say, "How about them Giants?"
Yeah.
Right? Or if you happen to see that the state trooper's wearing a Jets jersey, you would say, "How about them Jets?" Jets, 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 Jets.
He'll probably be chewing gum like this, and he'll say something like, "Sanchez, that guy hasn't done anything for us yet. Here's your ticket, and I'll be back in a minute." And you're like, "Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that." But the biggest problem is, you talk about bipolar, or you talk about yin and yang. Well, New York, you have the Mets, and then you have the Yankees.
You're right.
And then in football, you have the Jets, and you have the Giants. So you're taking a 50-50 chance. If that cop's not wearing something, who his team is, right? A 50-50 chance, literally, Mickey.
I know.
What do you do then? I mean, Mr. Advice?
You take the chance, and you hope for the best. But put it this way, if you say, "How about them Giants?" and he's a Jets fan, he's probably not going to like it. So then you've got to say something else to get out of the ticket for talking while driving while yakking on the phone. And then, so you tell him, "Well, as a matter of fact, I was just calling my sister-in-law to try and see if I could help her get some tickets for the whatever team he's the fan of."
Well, that's right along the lines. It's funny that we both are creative that way, and we get ourselves out of trouble, because I could see myself. I'd be like, as soon as I mention it, and then I could see his face, his expression, or his words, or both, that he doesn't like that team. I'm like, I'm bringing him up because we're going to kill them schmucks this year. Boom! You know, I'm on his side. Speaking of eBay, where I was going with that, okay, I'm constantly looking on there, like I said, not only for jerseys, but I have a friend of a friend of a friend, and I'm not talking about the marijuana connection. I mean, oh, that sounds pretty bad, you know. I need to get some stuff. No, not like that. I have a friend of a friend of a friend locally here where I live who had a 1972 Miami Dolphins actual football, folks. And it was signed by the entire team.
Wow.
Yes, the undefeated team, the only team in the history of the NFL to go entirely undefeated in the regular season. Wow. Won the Super Bowl that year. You couldn't be more perfect, right? That's a perfect season.
That is perfect.
He was friends with a kicker named Don Cockrift, who some of you might remember. And Don played with the Cleveland Browns. That was his team. He was from the area here that I'm talking about. And anyway, he went to high school with this friend of a friend. Mm-hmm. And he gives him a football one day, probably in let's say, for sake of and giggles, 1978. He's like, "Yeah, here you go, buddy. Here's a football signed by everybody on the Miami Dolphins." He gives it to his kids. And his kids, for the next however many years, they're playing with it, just being kids. And it probably got smeared, and it got grass stained, and it got everything. And I'm on eBay the other day, And I'm thinking about this friend who told me about this guy and his family that had this, that she's related to. And she's like, do you realize he had this football? Because it's just like this football we're looking at on eBay. Can you guess the price, Mickey? Can you guess what the bid was at for this football?
Hundreds. It would totally depend on the condition, but
Go up, my friend.
thousands? Yeah, thousands.
It was at $1,999. Same
bid?
football. I can't remember if it was the opening bid or it had gotten to that point, but would you agree with me that either way, here's a football that somebody's willing to pay $2,000 for, that this guy gave to his kids, and then it ended up, the story real quick ended up that they had a storage unit, and we all have times in our life where unfortunately we're financially maybe burdened, and they had it in a box with plenty of boxes probably, and this particular box was in there in the storage unit, and they didn't pay their storage unit, and they lost the belongings that were in there. And ergo, no Miami Dolphins football
Toledo.
with Larry Zonka's signature and Mercury Morris and Jim Kick and Nick Bonacani and Bob Greasy and
Those are the only guys I know.
sound like some pretty big names, don't they?
Yeah, totally. What would happen? So if you quit paying your rent on your storage, that means the owner of the storage rental facilities can take your stuff and sell it to raise the money to pay the rent that you didn't pay, right? Is that what happened?
Well, that's totally my understanding, because how did we get all these reality shows like Storage Wars? There's these people, especially back in your neck of the woods, Northern California, Southern California, where your Storage Wars and these other ones, that's what that show's all about. That these people, I guess, are making part-time to full-time livings just going to different storage units that are advertising that they're going to bid on the contents of people that abandoned certain storage units. So they go there and they open the door, they let you look at it for 30 seconds or whatever, then they close it, and then they start the bidding. And you seen all this?
Is this what happened to this football?
Well,
what happened to this football?
if you're watching this show and you know what I'm talking about, you're anywhere near Colorado and you have a Miami Dolphins football that's 1972 with all the signatures on it, you should email us. You should go to Joey and MickeyProFootballShow.com. Pretty soon we're going to have email addresses for myself, for Mickey, and for Gina. But up until that point, you can just go to the website. You'll be able to get a hold of us, or even go to YouTube and make a comment when you click on one of our excerpts. That's part of our show. And if you know about the whereabouts of this football, wouldn't it be kind of fun? I'm just going to throw it out there that you're watching, you know about it. Please let us know.
Fabulous.
Maybe.
Maybe. We'll find out.
Yeah.